Hey everybody, today is May 28th, and today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin. We're going to talk about whether or not this is just a temporary bounce that can continue down lower, or whether we're going to find the strength to break out higher and resume this bullish uptrend that we've had over the last couple months. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer and you can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so in our last video and in many videos in the past, I talked about how important it is to stay above this blue line, right, the 200-day simple moving average. And the reason is, in the past, in the last bull run, we were able to stay above the blue line for the entire run, right? So from late 2015 all the way up to late 2017, we never closed below the blue line. Now we did wick below it right here in August of 2016, but we closed above it, right? So the blue line acted as strong long-term support, right? And when we finally broke below it, we basically entered a bear market. So the question is, right now, not only have we broken below it, but we're still below it, right? And we're having a hard time staying above this blue line, which is about 40,000, right? So our last video, I talked about how Bitcoin had touched 40,000, and it was here on this green candle, but immediately after we had a strong rejection because why? Because previous support, when it's broken, tends to flip to strong resistance, right? So that's why we came up here, we tried to break above this blue line, we got rejected instantly. We tried again the next day. So we had 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, where we broke above 40,000, but we weren't able to hold for very long because there's a very strong resistance here. And I've said that in the last video that it's going to be very tough to break above since we flipped it into resistance, right? And we're also going to have another strong resistance at 47,000, which is this Fibonacci support level, right? Why? Because we held support here, but we broke the support over here. So it's going to be challenging to get back to 50,000 Bitcoin. There's going to be two strong resistance level around 40,000 and 47,000, right? So right now we're seeing Bitcoin basically go sideways for a while. But I also talked about how that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Bitcoin to go sideways as we slowly grind higher, right? We consolidate for a little bit more and grind higher. But the key is, and the most important thing is that two things. First is that we hold this level, right? This Fibonacci support level, which we held as support back in our first correction of this year, which in January, right? And the second important thing is that we make higher lows, right? Which we have right here. This low is lower than this, and this right now, the day hasn't closed yet, but when this day closes, we want this to be higher than this, right? If we continue to come down lower, the more we retest support, the more likely we are to break. And if we break 30,000, which is this Fibonacci support level, if we break this level, we're likely going to plunge to the next level, which is around 20,000. And that's not good for the overall trend, right? Because I said in the last video that even though we had a 50% plus pullback over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we are still in a bullish trend, right? We still have higher lows and higher highs in the bigger picture, the macro picture, right? However, we must stay above this silver line, right? The next week, we'll likely see this line come up higher and touch this Fibonacci area. So this is going to be the ultimate test. Like the next 2 weeks are going to be very important because we're going to have a confluence of indicators crossing, which is this silver line crossing this blue Fibonacci level. So this must act as strong support. If we don't bounce and continue higher, the bull market is likely over, right? That's just what the chart is saying. We likely will enter a bear market because at that point, if we can't even hold strong confluence of support, then what hope is there for Bitcoin to continue higher, right? And we've seen in the past on the daily chart, confluence of indicators crossing is strong support, right? This silver line, the 50-day simple moving average on the daily chart, that is our short-term moving average, plus the crossing the Fibonacci line over here. The Fibonacci support acted as strong support. You saw the price come down, immediately bounce up higher, right? So that's why I think when the weekly chart, the weekly silver line touches this Fibonacci support level, we must act as strong support and bounce. Otherwise, the chances of us entering a bear market is a lot higher. And just keep in mind that in the last bull run from 2016 to 2017, we held above the silver line. We didn't even come close to it, right? So now we are coming close to it. We haven't touched it yet, but we're coming close to it. So the next month, the next 2 to 4 weeks are very crucial, right? And let's look at another monthly chart, and we'll get a clean chart over here. I've said many times in the last 2 to 3 months of making videos how having 6 consecutive green candles, right? We basically had this parabolic move from last October up to now, which is about, almost over 500% increase, right? So the fact that we're having a pullback of this magnitude, right? Two monthly red candles is really not that bad, right? Considering the context. The last time we had 6 consecutive green candles in a row was back in 2013, right here, right? 2013, followed by 2 red candles, and then another move higher in the remainder of the year, right? So a mid-cycle top, and then one more blow-off top in the late 2013, right? So I think we might see something similar like that, where they pull back and one more move higher towards the end of the year. But right now, this is the part where we shake some weak hands out, right? Shake some people out. Yeah. So if we follow similar patterns to 2013, 2 red candles, we should see the price come up higher, right? Of course, if we fail to hold this Fibonacci line, let's go back to that chart. If we fail to hold this level, right? I said we're going to plunge down to 20,000, right? If we look at the monthly chart, we will likely that will likely print us another red monthly candle, which is going to be very bad. Because why? Because when we had our bull runs in 2017 and in 2013, right? Over here, we never had more than 2 consecutive red candles, right? In fact, in 2013, over here, we only had 1 red candle. We never had more than 1 red candle, right? Consecutive red candle. But we did have 2 consecutive red candles in 2013 over here, right? And then we had one more here and one more, of course, in December, which was the start of the bear market. So if we do break, if we fail to hold 30,000 and we go down lower, in my prediction, it will go down to 20,000. This is going to be bad. We're going to likely print a 3rd consecutive red candle, and we'll likely enter a bear market, right? So May is going to be very crucial. The next 2 to 4 weeks are going to be very crucial. We need to have a green month next month, right? We just have to, because based on the history, of course history doesn't always repeat, but it doesn't rhyme, right? We will likely enter a bear market if we fail to hold 30,000, and that is like our worst case scenario. But for now, we want to focus on this blue line, right? I talked about how we need to stay above this line. So we need a strong break either over the weekend or next month, right? Then next week is going to be a new month. So usually when there's a new month, we see a lot of volume, at least in the beginning, right? Because it's a new month. It's a new month for like options and leverage positions like futures, contracts, stuff like that. So a lot of traders like to start over kind of like in their mind. And so there might be some bullish sentiment to push us above this line. So that's what I'm hoping to see, is a strong break above. Of course, maybe trending this resistance area before pushing up higher and retesting at least 60,000 and then going up beyond that, right? But for now, in the short term, we really are struggling to stay above 40,000, which is this 200-day simple moving average, our long-term moving average, right? So we really need a strong break above it. Otherwise, I can see us rolling down over, which is what I don't want to see, but that's what the chart is saying will likely happen if we don't have a strong break above 40,000 in June. So let's look at the fear and greed index. Still pretty low, right? Fear and greed index, historically, we haven't been this low since last March during the pandemic. And historically, that has been a good time to buy, right? Now, let's look at some of the indicators. We were starting to see some bullish momentum, right, with the lighter red, smaller red histogram, but we're starting to fade a little bit. What we want to see is this to flip to positive territory, and also to see this cross bullishly and push up higher, right? We want to see more buyers stepping in and buying this dip, right, this correction. Same thing with RSI. We had a oversold print over here below 30, right? Historically, this has been a good time to buy. The last time we had a print below 30, right, was back when every market crashed during the pandemic, right, over a year ago. So it's very rare that we see an RSI go below 30, and usually that, looking back in the bigger picture, is a good time to buy. So personally, to be transparent, I have been buying not only Bitcoin but other altcoins, and of course more on my mining stocks, my favorite mining stocks, Riot and Mara. But of course, because I'm buying doesn't mean you should buy, right? You have to do your own due diligence. I was very optimistic here, but of course we failed to hold. So if you did listen to me, I bought this dip, and that was ended up being a wrong time to buy, right? Obviously, then you would have lost a lot of money if you just listened to me. So that's why I always say, I try to be transparent and tell you guys when I'm buying. I did buy here, and it ended up not being a good time to buy because obviously we had this big drawdown. But that's why I tell you guys, just because I'm transparent and tell you what I'm doing doesn't mean you should follow what I'm doing. Otherwise, you would have lost a lot of money, right? But again, I'm trying to be transparent and tell you that I am buying this dip over here, or this pullback. And of course, again, just because I buy doesn't mean you should buy, right? Always do your own due diligence. This is not a financial advice channel. This is just entertainment and analysis. I'm just telling you what I see on the chart and what I am doing, but you always have to make your own decisions, right? You're responsible for your own financial decisions. So don't just copy my trades or anything like that. Always do your best to do your own research and make your own trading decisions and investment decisions. But yeah, just to summarize, right now, Bitcoin it's really struggling, right? It's in territory. It's not necessarily as bad as if we were coming down closer to this line. We're pretty much like just going sideways right now, but we really need to break above this blue line at the bare minimum. Break above this blue line and get closer to this Fibonacci resistance level, and hopefully try to break up higher. Slowly grind higher over the next few weeks, right? I want to see us print a green month in June, right? I don't want to see a third consecutive red candle. Of course, if we do roll over and fail to break above the 200-day simple moving average, this blue line, we will likely come down and retest this support level. And the more times we test it, the more likely we are to break that below. And we'll likely plunge to 20,000. And this bull market will likely be over, right? So obviously, we're going to have to see how this plays out in the next coming days. I'll definitely be here next week to update you guys on the monthly close. And hopefully we'll see Bitcoin break above the $40,000 point, or this 200-day simple moving average, and continue to grind up higher. If not, unfortunately, this will likely go lower, but we'll have to see as the trading sessions go on, and I'll definitely update you guys next week and see how this all plays out. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. I appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.